Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the third Line Jawn Flyers postgame show. Tonight, the Philadelphia Flyers lose a game that could have been in the wraps alongside Joey and Pavel on this very important night. I am James Scorza with you, filling in for Pat Bernard on this very important Sunday night. But, guys, Flyers get a point out of it in this game that looked like that could have gone either way, but somehow, some way, Toronto got the victory and won the game for the Maple Leafs in overtime.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
sorry, again.
Yeah, absolutely. This was an important point. You wish you could have gotten two. I thought Mitchkov would do it again in his overtime magic, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, I mean, Toronto has those the offense they have 3-on-3. I know we go with connect me and all on 3-on-3, but with those three, I mean, the way we play against Toronto, I mean, we gotta feel somewhat impressed, I guess, hanging with a team, that's continually in the playoffs every year, even though they don't go anywhere in the playoffs. But I'm impressed. Fedotov was shaky in the first period, I thought. But he hasn't played in 13 games, they said. So,
Right.
but he came on strong in the second and third, which is, we definitely need some more solid goaltending, and that was good to see. Even though we lost, but we got the point. So,
Yeah, that's the thing I took out of it too, and also getting a point against Toronto, and it will be the first of a back-to-back, so they'll be back here on Tuesday night against the
right.
Maple Leafs once again for this game here tonight. So let's get into the around. Let's get to what happened in this game tonight, as it began in the first period for the Flyers, and setting the tone once again was Tyson Forster to
Right.
get the first goal of the game to make it 1-0 for the good guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tyson Forrester getting back on the board. First goal early in the first. This looked like a repeat and of the Vegas game, and I'm pleasantly surprised by Tyson Forster's coming on. I'm also pleasantly surprised with that line as a whole and the kind of quality stats and quality production that they're giving us, especially considering you're just trying to look for stars to come out that aren't your perennial stars like the TKs and Couturiers and Mitchkoffs and Tippets. You expect that, but like out of the Nolan Cates and Forrester line, you wouldn't necessarily expect it, but it's a nice bright spot to have.
Yeah, definitely. And also, too, I thought Lawton's actually been pouring on the points this year. I know in the last year there was question mark whether he'll be returned or even be traded at the trade deadline. And then, he's been scoring like that 4-goal game, and then he got a goal again tonight. He's piling on the points, too. So that's good to see, too. A guy that's usually, third liner for the most part. And he's been producing as well, too.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think with Tyson Forster being red hot, it's kind of weird though because there's a lot of players on this team that there's either like a Noah Cates gets hot or Owen Tippett or even like Mitchkov getting hot once in a while. So it's good tone setter for the beginning parts of the game too.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it wouldn't take very long for the Toronto Maple Leafs, the talented team that they are and the talented players that they have, to respond to that first goal
Yeah,
38 seconds later.
yeah, and that's the thing that I took out of it too. Like I said, the Flyers outshot the basically this was something that I said too, but yeah, coming back and scoring a game that quickly was I guess you could say it was something that the Flyers have to do better on if they have the lead and trying to control the lead against Toronto.
Mhm.
But it was something that I think was a little bit. I wouldn't say it was concerning, but I think it was something that you have to do if you have to get wins in this league, obviously. And even like when they have good first periods, that's going to be a big tall task, especially as well when these two clubs meet up again on Tuesday night as well.
Right. And, Fedotov looked really shaky in the first period,
Mm-hmm.
and I know in the beginning of the season, coach said that his biggest worry was the goaltending. And, he gave up that big rebound that they pounced on and scored. That rebounding right back in the middle. So, he needs to learn how to control that. But he did well in the second and third. But, our biggest question into this year is the goaltending. And then you got Erison that's been injured. And then Kolosov hasn't been playing that well. And then, you got Fedotov in there. So that's going to be a question mark going forward to see who actually, takes the second spot, but I'll also be concerned about Erison too, right? Because he's been injured, 3 times this year. So
yeah,
good point.
It's a big question mark. The goaltending, I think that's our biggest weakness right now is the goaltending because not anything settled there.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's going to be the big tall task when it comes forward. When obviously when they meet again on Tuesday, obviously, but
Right.
when it comes to like when they play again in like future references, and especially when your goaltenders are not playing to the capability of what they're doing, and especially what the team has to do as a whole. Had to deal with Erson's injury again. It's going to be a tall task, especially when these two clubs play in future references, maybe in the postseason as well.
Yeah, to kind of add on to what Pavel's saying, like you see Fedotov tonight, you might see Kolosov Tuesday night. So you're going to get a definite barometer of those two goaltenders against the same team to see which one had a better game. And I mean, it's good evaluation tool, especially for these young goaltenders, for the coaching staff to really view and be able to say, okay, who's taking the next step forward? And that's going to be a big difference, especially down the stretch for both leading into the break and leading into the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Is this something where because it's difficult to carry 3 goaltenders, it begs the question: are the Flyers seeing what backup or what goaltender out of the 3 steps forward to be the shining star, or which one is on the chopping block to be the first sale of the selling season?
Yeah, I agree, Joe. I think that's the one thing that you took out of it. The one thing I took out of it too is that it's kind of like we have the same problem over and over again with the goaltender situation. It's kind of like a broken record. So it's like the same kind of thing that's been happening over and over again. But the Flyers did get a response, though, like you mentioned, Pavel. Scott Long getting his first goal in quite a while, and he nodded to score up at 2 apiece.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? In this second period, it's been talked about widely about how bad some of the Flyers' second periods have been, and
Absolutely.
they faced a team that has notoriously this season and past 2 seasons been good at the second period and getting on top of teams and burying teams before the third period. It was nice to see the Flyers be able to draw some penalties and get the Maple Leafs into the box and be able to give themselves an advantage even if they didn't score on them. The first power play, that was where Lawton, it was just after that expired that Lawton had scored.
Right.
So they were still riding that momentum and that kind of gear from the power play as it ended. So that was successful in that perspective, at least in my mind. But having that, having that second period go as well as it did for the Flyers, the hope is that they can continue that momentum going forward with those second periods. Because if the second period is going to be the Flyers' bugaboo, it's going to make life a lot more difficult for the Flyers going into third periods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to play from behind all the time. But I think in that second period, I think Fedotov actually kept us in that game because he made those huge saves.
Yeah.
And then we got that goal. I think they were negative 19. We're minus 19 in the second period. Flyers,
right?
To come out with the 1 goal to tie it, but I think Fedotov actually made it that way because he was really really good in the second period.
Yeah, he was. I do agree, and I think the one thing that really made me really intrigued about is that first period was a little bit concerning, but he started to get better and better as the season went. Not the season, but obviously when the game went along too. So that's a good, like I said, a good tone setter for that second period, though. But like I said, the Flyers lose tonight, but they got 1 point out of it. So, but the one thing I took out of this game, and I guess I can ask you guys this question, is that that especially when these two clubs play again on Tuesday night, it's going to probably be a little bit of bad blood between the two clubs because obviously Nick Sealer again a fight early on against I think it was Jake McCabe, I think it was, that went down with a fight, and so I can understand they're going to have a little bit of revenge in this game on Tuesday night as well, especially like what Nick Sealer did in that first period. Oh, no, not Nick Sealer. It was Garnett Hathaway, was it?
Hathaway,
Hathaway.
It was Hathaway. Yeah, it was Hathaway. I keep on like they're just two goons. Like
to be fair,
also too that hit by Pacioretty.
Pacioretty.
I think that could add to it too.
Yeah, and that the shot that McCabe took on Hathaway wasn't one that the ref saw. It yes, people will call it a dirty play, but as a person that played hockey and was that kind of player, you get in your shots where you can to get under the skin, get in the head of the opposing team, and that is a big that is a psychological game that doesn't show up on the skill sheet. But here's the thing: Hathaway kind of lost his mind, went after McCabe. McCabe is a notorious fighter. He got a good shot in, and then it looked like Hathaway kind of tripped on to McCabe and kind of like fell on top of McCabe.
Yeah, I don't think it was intentional. Yeah, no.
Yeah,
no, I don't think it was intentional.
I don't think it was intentional either. I think honestly, like as a guy who's dropped the gloves more than once, sometimes if you don't have your weight on your back foot, your back skate, you're more liable to lose your balance moving forward, especially if you're throwing a hook or a cross, because your body weight is shifting forward, and so that potentially could have been what happened, and he just wasn't set, and that's why I feel like it wasn't intentional, but clearly McCabe means a lot to the Maple Leafs, so his teammates had to respond, and later on, Pacioretty basically put Sealer into the boards pretty hard, and made a statement, and it's going to make for an interesting game as far as the referees are going to have their hands full at the barn come Tuesday.
Yeah, it's going to be like Wes McCauley's like favorite game, like just having a bunch of guys go out there for fighting, I mean, but I mean, I do agree, Joe. That's the thing that's going to be a big, tall test, especially when these two clubs play again on Tuesday night, obviously, and I expect it won't be as bad as it once was, because I remember back in the day there was a time when Toronto and Philadelphia used to be back and forth. Like you think of the Darcy Tucker hit on Sammy Kapanen, maybe. Yeah. Like
they had Ty Domi too, right?
Ty Domi, yeah, right, exactly. And also his son plays for them now too. Max Domi was actually, believe it or not, not seeing him in the box, and I was like saying, I don't think that's Max. I don't think that was Ty Domi's kid, but he actually toned it down a little bit. Like it's just the same. So
at least he's not flipping off people while he's in the box.
Correct.
Yeah, he was a dude that never wore a helmet too, right? He didn't wear a helmet in the beginning, did he, Tony?
I don't remember.
I think he
did. I don't think he did at first, but
I think he was one of those guys that didn't in the early part of it, but that was when it was still legal to do it.
Yeah.
And like I remember he got into a fight with the guy from the Devils, and I'm blanking on his name right now.
Scott Stevens?
No, Scott Stevens.
Stevens.
Gotcha. Yeah. And he got into a fight with him, and Stevens caught him not just with like a front fist, but like he followed through to the point where he caught him with his elbow and busted Ty Domi's face. And they were like, okay. And so when Ty fell backwards, back of his head hit the ice. And that was when they were basically like, okay, we got to get you to wear your helmet. And he fought against it because he said, it wasn't like an open ice hit. It wasn't like, that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess the thing too is that maybe, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm being rude here, but hopefully Max Domi's not in the penalty box, and especially with that melee that happened back a long time ago when a fan got involved in a fight with Domi. So, like, it's a different circumstance here, though. But
definitely.
All
But
right,
let's give our grades for the game and who we want to consider our MVP.
yeah, Pavel, you can go first, man.
Overall, I'll say B, man. I like the way they started out in the game. They got the lead in the game and the goal. Fedotov played well after the first, second and third period. He did really well. That's the reason why we were in this game. And I like the way Risto played as well. To take Toronto who's so highly skilled players and only give up 2 goals and lose in overtime, I'll take that. Especially for the Flyers, like kind of rebuilding a young team. So I give it a B.
Yeah. Hey, Joey. Before you go, can you move your camera up a little bit, buddy? We lost you for a sec, man.
My
There you
cat wants to get in on the action.
Yeah. I can imagine he's the team mascot and all that. So Joe, what's your grade for this game here tonight?
So I would put the Flyers at about a B plus. They played a good team. They played well through the course of the game. They never were down very much. It didn't seem like their energy was low. They came out and had 16 shots in the first period, which tells me that just because you're doing a lot doesn't always mean you're doing it well enough. Like, unfortunately, in hockey, unlike other sports, like you can do as much as you want to do. It doesn't always mean that it's going to translate.
Yeah, I mean that's a very good point by you. I think for me, I gotta go with I'm in the same category as you guys. I gotta go with B plus too because I mean that first period, seeing a lot of shots on goal for the Flyers was like something that it's something that was a normal for them for the first time in quite a while, and I think that's gonna be the tall task, especially going forward, especially when you're taking on good teams like Toronto and even Dallas coming up on that Ed Snyder legacy game on Thursday night. So it'll be a good reminder that sometimes like getting a good tall task against very good teams. I mean, they played very well tonight, and I think that was the one thing I was really intrigued about too in this game. So I got to go with a B plus too.
And you also got to remember you got the Panthers too, and
yes,
the Cutter Gauthier.
The Ducks, yeah. We got Cutter Gauthier coming back into town.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a lot in this 4-game homestand, and it's good to kind of get back off of this road streak. My MVP for tonight has to be Tyson Forrester. This is a guy that is starting to come on, and I've said this before about other players, whether it's Morgan Frost or Nolan Cates, or even with Owen Tippett. There are certain guys that you want to see thrive, and Tyson Forrester is starting to shine out.
Yeah,
and I'm liking what I'm seeing from this guy. He's got good, ice vision when it comes down to seeing the ice as a whole. He's not just looking, and he doesn't have just tunnel vision. He's not just snipering away and just hoping that a puck lands in the back of the net. He's being very calculated, and I like what I'm seeing from the youngster.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I guess I agree too. Is that he's been on a tear. He's been red hot as of lately, and what better way to get another goal tonight, especially against a good Toronto team. So, I think for me, I got to go with the MVP. Is that I mean, Fedotov did play well. I would give him the most applause on that because that first period was shaky, but after that he really toned it down. Especially, basically Mitch Marner trying to basically do some dangles and stuff, and also keep him in check. So it was I think Fedotov played very well tonight. So I got to go with the goaltender, especially losing Sam Ersson during the week and him stepping in after a bad outing with Kolosov on Thursday night against the Golden Knights. So I got to give my MVP to Ivan Fedotov, sending this game into overtime. Not winning the game, though, but obviously a very good reminder to come into this game on Tuesday night with a lot more. I mean, it was one thing I was really intrigued about in this game here tonight.
Yeah, definitely agree. But I will go with Bristow Linen. 2 assists, multiple big hits. He was involved in both goals. A lot of shots on net. I think he played really well tonight. So I'm going with Risto.
Yeah, that's the one thing I take out of it too. And before we go, quickly, let's do our quick reminder. Let's do this. So the Flyers again will play again on Tuesday night against Toronto. So quickly, what is your what would be the one thing you'll be looking? What's the one thing you'll be looking forward to in this matchup here against these two clubs on Tuesday night as they meet this time in South Philadelphia?
Well, I'll be looking for them to continue the momentum, and not dropping off, getting out to an early and fast start, and trying to capitalize on this Toronto Maple Leafs team. That number one, you had them coming off a back to back. This was the second game of a back to back. Now they're going to have to travel. Now they're going on the road. My thing is, if the Flyers can get on top of them, whether it's Tyson Forrester or somebody else in the first period, and keep the pedal to the metal, I think that they can give this team a run for their money. It's like I said to Pat the other day when we did the post game for the Vegas. I see them splitting Toronto, and I think they lost tonight, so I think they win on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's a good that's a good reminder too. Pava, what about you, man?
Going off of Joe too, I think they need another strong start, and I'm assuming Kolosov is going to get the start probably. I don't know how long. How long is Erison out for a while? Do you know how long?
I think
it's like out for a couple more weeks. I don't think it's anything severe.
I heard 2 or 3 more weeks he's out.
All right, so Kolosov was on the bench today, and he saw how Fedotov played. Now it's his turn to shine. So if he gets a start, I need to see a much better game from him than against the Vegas Knights, and a strong start like we did tonight, and jump on them and keep it to like a 2-1, 3-2 kind of a game to give us a chance against this kind of team.
Yeah, I agree. That's the thing I took out of it too, is that especially this game tonight is a good it's a very good, I keep on saying it, but I keep on reminding myself that it's a very good boost to get Toronto right where they want them, but at the same time, I mean, you got to get the 2 points out of it, but 1 point's better than nothing. That's the one thing I take out of it tonight too. Yeah. All right, let's go into our quick around the National Hockey League on this last game of the night. Obviously, it's a rare Sunday night, but I mean, it's good to know that the Flyers and the Eagles played earlier, so it's good to know that we can look forward to that matchup as well going into the week. All right, quick around the National for this games here tonight. Blackhawks winning. The Rangers winning for the first time in a while, taking on Chicago. That was a 6-2 final. Islanders in an overtime final of 5-4 in Boston. Pittsburgh losing to Carolina 4-3 in overtime in Raleigh. The Ducks right now are winning 2-1 over the Tampa Bay Lightning. And quick around the National Hockey League tomorrow as the Capitals take on the Sabres. Canadians against the Canucks. Panthers taking on the Avalanche. And to close it out tonight, it will be the Devils taking on the Kraken.
I'd be interested to watch that Avs-Panthers game. That's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I think I might be looking forward to that matchup as well. So that's going to wrap us up here for this Third Line Jawn Flyers postgame show. I'm going to thank once again my good friend Joey Marks for joining us once again here tonight on this very important Airways. And also, Pavel, thanks a lot for joining us tonight, my friend. I really do appreciate it. And thanks for everybody who was tuning in. We will be back. I think you, Pavel, will be back with Pat on Tuesday and Thursday, I think it is. Yes. Me and Joey will be back on Saturday night for the Flyers taking on the Ducks, so I will be busy that night as well. I got the pregame show and our show, the Pats and F Sports Show, on our very important networks over at Hardcore Sports Network and Stream Punk Entertainment. Now, for everyone behind the scenes and for everyone that made this work here, now for Joey Marks and for Pavel and for everybody else here on this very important program, this is James Scorza saying so long, and this has been the Third Line Jawn Flyers postgame show, and we're out of here. Have a good night, everybody.
See you.